Hey y'all, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. We're talking about news, culture, and yep, sometimes even politics. Not today though. Let's introduce the crew. We got John,
You?
Doc,
Yo, yo.
Ian in the figurative back,
I got the black screen of Final Fantasy.
this guy, and myself, Eugene. Alright, so today we're going to keep it not as, like I said in the intro, like we're not going to get political today. We're going to take a break from that. We're going to talk about some other stuff that happened in the news, and this time we're going to be critical of some people on the right side of the sphere. So I'm sure everyone heard about this, which is Crowder's divorce, unfortunately. Um, Only reason why I think we should talk about this because, like I said, we're at least for me personally, I am super critical of people on the left, and when the opportunity presents itself to be critical of the right, we should be fair and we should do it. So let's pull up this New York Post article. Let's read a little bit about a rundown, and then I pulled up the actual video itself, and then we'll watch the video to get our raw opinions and not be influenced by New York Post. So let's first read this. Let's get to the video. So Steven Crowder wife rant video reveals pathetic pattern of abuse ex-staff. Uh, a bombshell ring video was leaked last week of influential conservative commentator Steven Crowder berating his wife Hillary. In the footage from June of 2021, he tells her to, quote, fucking watch it, and accuses her of refusing to, quote, do wifey things while telling her he doesn't love her. At the time, she was 8 months pregnant with her twins. Her family released a statement saying she had been hiding his mentally and emotionally abusive behavior from her friends and family. The pair, who married in 2012, have been locked in a contentious divorce since 2021. Crowder claimed the disturbing footage, which was released on journalist Yashar Ali's Substack, was misleadingly edited. But numerous former employees of the provocateur alleged that these types of unhinged tirades were commonplace inside the Loudermilk Crowder office. Quote, I'm not shocked, but it was pathetic what he did to Hillary, a former employee told the Post. Quote, that might not be the Steven you see on the show, but that was the real Steven. The Post spoke to 10 former employees who claimed Crowder ran an, quote, abusive company where he often screamed at his employees, including his own father, exposed his genitals, sent out directives into arbitrary fire people, and made underlings wash his dirty laundry. Let's read a couple more and let's watch the video. The former staffers worked for the show at different times from its inception in 2016 through 2022. The vast majority had left the company voluntarily. They requested anonymity because they had either feared retaliation or had signed NDAs. All said they felt compelled to speak out about the media personality after the sickening footage was made public, and his former co-host Dave Lindow called him a bully in an interview last week. Uh, Quote, we don't want Steven to suffer. We just want the abuse to stop, or at least let future employees know that they're getting themselves what they're getting themselves into, said one former employee. All right. I think let's just at this point they've painted their picture of Crowder. Let's watch the actual video itself and let's see if we think it's accurate or if it's they're trying to frame it a certain way. John, your feed by the way is down. We don't see your
No.
camera.
Just need a second
No problem.
while you play the video.
Yeah, while John's doing that, go ahead and play it, Ian.
Because I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary in abusive and cruel. You are not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There is no groceries. I'd be happy.
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes. How do you man? How do you man? Receive love and respect. No. How do you man? No, you're not taking the car.
Steven,
You're not taking the car.
Steven,
Did you full screen it?
You are not
then I
taking
will ask them to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
the car, right?
It's not about Steven.
Give it an Uber.
Okay, Steven, I can't.
Feeling some constraints?
Steven.
Like, I can't
Steven.
go. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're gonna take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
See,
Do you understand the difference between my life being set to the second and you going, I'll be back when I'm back?
Steven,
You're making it feel like you. The only way out of this is discipline and respect. It's the only way out of it, or we're at an impasse.
we are at an impasse.
Good. Because you can't have any discipline or respect.
Steven,
Yeah. There you go. You throw your hand, you give up so easily.
I don't give up, Steven.
Hillary,
Steven,
you give up so easily. I just said the only way out of this is discipline and respect. You said, then we're at an impasse.
Steven, no, we are at an impasse, okay? I love you, but Steven, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it. Fucking watch it.
I'm gonna let go. I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need to just stop engaging for a little bit, okay? I love you. I love you very much.
I don't love you. That's the big problem. I've never received love from you. And the fact is, when I go, look, I need you to do A, B, C, and D, you just be disciplined about it, you go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No. But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. That's not fair, and it's disingenuous. Hillary, you're right. We're at an impasse. Become someone, listen to me, day in and day out, worthy of a wife. No, not as a wife. I didn't say as a wife.
As a wife.
Hillary, come on now.
I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage anymore. I'm gonna go. I'll text me what you need. I'll get you what you need. I love you. I'm committed to you.
Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm not gonna.
Are you committed enough to do those things? You're not committed to anything. You're not committed to anything. You just said I love you. I'm committed to it. Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm gonna just.
Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to get the medication the dogs take? No, you take that in.
I'll go ahead and pause it here. I think that's towards the end. So, the full video that was released, you don't hear anything. So I don't know if we can take the last little thing at the end there at face value, just because like I couldn't hear anything. Like when this popped up, I was literally like my ear against the speaker, like squeezing my headphones, trying to hear when I first listened to this and watched this. I didn't hear anything like that. So I don't know if there's footage that they have that they didn't release where he says, "I will fuck you up." I personally did not hear that. But granted, they were in the house at this point, so it could have been muffled. I personally didn't hear that. But to get the conversation rolling, I was reluctant to talk about this because I just think it's grimy to get into the middle of people's, especially marriages, divorce, relationship stuff. Like this is grimy. But like I prefaced before we started about this, we got to be fair. Like we got to be fair. This is happening on Crowder, so we got to at least to some degree address this. My take is what he said was definitely wild. I'm not going to take away the things he said were extremely wild. But at the same time, we got to take in consideration that this is one fight out of, I would assume, many. Like, there's like, I don't. It's hard for me to make any opinion about this. I would want to know more. Like, I want to know more. Like, there's no way it's just Crowder being one-sidedly abusive. Like, my question is, has she been saying things? Like, when divorces happen, I'm reluctant to acknowledge it's one way. It's two ways. It's two parties. It's literally a marriage. You got a husband and a wife. If I don't know, I just want to know more. I acknowledge what he said is wild, but I don't know if I'd say it's abusive. It's just two couples in a fight, and sometimes you say some crazy shit. I've heard couples. I haven't heard my own parents. Like you say some crazy shit to each other when you're angry. What's up?
Let's be real here. Me and you have seen a lot of Steven Crowder videos.
Yeah.
We've seen his content kind of change over the years. And remember the first time we started, do you remember when we first started?
That changed my mind.
You went on mute real quick.
We started binge watching
Changed my mind.
Change my mind. There we go. And there was one episode where he was on a campus and that student
asked some really good questions. Yep, I remember what you're talking about.
toasted him, and Steven Crowder turned the crowd against him.
And he
instead
said
of
that against him
praising.
previously too. I remember
Well,
exactly what you're talking about.
and he said he told the crowd that that the boy was insulting them. So it is not like a surprise to hear that he's verbally abusive.
I'm not surprised about that either, to be honest with you. It makes
Like
sense, some of the comments he
the way
says
he
and
talks on his
does.
show, like I'm not surprised that people would say, "Oh, he's not the nicest guy." But as far as like you saying, it's two people. I mean, I agree. It's always two people. Sometimes it is one-sided, but I will say, I when she's saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you," seems performative when
I agree.
anybody's saying that in a situation, because I get sometimes it could be a diffuser, as in starting the conversation with like love. So it's like, like my intention for the rest of what I'm about to say isn't negative,
Malicious.
malicious, there you go. But it seems she's very aware that she's speaking in front of a camera. And so
That's what I was wondering, if she knew that the camera was there and like was kind of baiting him out, or if she was scared. Because I kind of felt
even if
from
she
her
baited him,
vibe she was scared.
he
Like, I mean,
could be that way.
but like, I mean, obviously, I have no idea. Like, evidently, he seems to be like a king of gaslighting. But, um,
That's
like,
actually fair. I'm not even gonna lie. That's a very, very fair title.
yeah, and so like you could tell she was getting gaslit, and she was just like, oh, I don't want to deal with this, and she was just like, I don't want to fight, so I'm just gonna throw some love out here, but I need to get like how I feel off my chest. And so she was throwing that out there. But when he kept kind of going, you started to hear her voice kind of quiver, and I was just like, all right, you're a pregnant woman, you have a man who's getting aggressive, like you're completely vulnerable. The only thing you have to keep this man from basically taking over you is just to throw out like the idea of like love, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like I still care about you. Do not give into your aggression. And so that's what I kind of started interpreting it. But I did have the
Confused.
second thought where I was just like, I don't know if she's acting in the camera, but
Like
But
how they get access to this footage.
but
It's their personal Ring camera, so someone
had to be
leaked it.
released
So
via divorce. But both things can be true. Like she could do that in front of the camera, but he could actually be verbally abusive, and she's just trying to get evidence. Like so,
that's fair. Yeah, 100%.
both things could be true. But I'm just saying, for what I've seen from the guy, like yeah, he belittles people, and King of Gaslighting is very accurate.
And that's probably my only big gripe about this is the fact that she's pregnant. Like I would hope from husbands in general that you'd be a little more patient, a little more measured, a little more I guess restrictive with your emotion or control your emotions while your wife is pregnant, because at that point it's like you got to make sure she's not stressing, because stress does affect the baby. There's so many factors that affect the baby while she's in the mother's womb that like you're low key walking on eggshells, and that may not be the best way to characterize it because I haven't had a baby or been with a woman who's pregnant, so I'm not sure exactly how you would navigate. But I would assume, at least how I picture myself navigating, it's like, yeah, you're low key her bitch. Like if she wants ice cream at 2 a.m., bro, you're getting that fucking ice cream. Or like if she's going through one of her emotional like hormonal situations because she's pregnant, like bro, fucking bear it. Like she's pregnant, and it just and that's my honestly like I said before, like he definitely said some things he shouldn't have said, but I really don't care about that. I care more about the fact that, bro, she's pregnant. Like, what are you doing? Like,
well, yeah,
that's the most
he's
wild part to
definitely
me.
putting himself first in front of this pregnant woman and trying to get her to be more submissive. But I also don't understand what they're fighting over. Like she's trying to go to the grocery store and he won't let her or something. Like why?
I think he thinks she's trying to escape and not go to the grocery store, but go to somewhere else and not come back. Also, he just can't get past his ego. That's really what it is. No matter what the situation is,
He's
his ego
controlling.
seems to come first. So, like, it's almost like I'm the smartest guy in the room. I do this you need to be kneeling to me despite her being pregnant, even if she does it when she's not pregnant. Despite her being pregnant, he couldn't take a moment to just empathize and try and not, even for that moment, not engage. And then I don't get what the real engagement was about. She wanted to leave. First off, why do they have one car?
With the amount of
That is a
money
good
Crowder's
question.
making, I don't want to hate on like I completely understand the argument. Why do you have one car? But at the same time, maybe it's their choice because they want to be smart with their money. Like
No, no, that's not why.
I,
Steven Crowder,
I'm
I'm
trying,
telling
bro. I'm
you,
trying.
he's creating an environment in which he creates a cage. You could tell.
I
You
said
can
controlling.
tell.
Yeah,
He's
controlling.
creating a cage. He's creating a situation to where she needs that there has to be an interaction where he either knows this, an excuse for her not to be on her own or leave on her own. He's almost like curbing that lady's independence, dude, which is crazy. I'm not saying maybe she's verbally abusive, maybe she's physically abusive. I don't know, but the way it seems is like he's controlling.
My thing is so what they're fighting about. Based off what was said, because this is like my third time watching this now. Based my understanding of what was said, it seems like she wanted to. I don't know if it was run errands or go hang out with somebody or whatever, but she wanted to leave the house. And Crowder obviously didn't want her to take the car. And his point to why she didn't want her to take the car was because she said, "I'll be back when I'm back." He said, "It doesn't work for me. Like my life is planned to the second. That doesn't work for me." And while I understand that, what I don't understand is you should be a father first and foremost. You said multiple times on your podcast and other podcasts you've interviewed from is you're looking forward to retiring and handing off this ladder with Crowder business off to someone else and letting them take the reins. If that's true, that insinuates that you want to be at home, be a father, and be a family man. This, what I'm seeing right here, it seems contradictory. Like you're not putting your fatherhood, your husbandhood as a priority. You're prioritizing the business. Where I understand that the business is making sure that the family can thrive. I understand that, but the problem is you're now letting this stress from your business impact your pregnant wife. Again, I agree with what Ethan said here. We're only seeing 2 minutes of the relationship. We don't know what it's like every day. Completely fair, completely valid. But is this 2 minutes is not a good look. It's really not. They're tearing Crowder up because of this, and I don't really care to defend him, but it is hard to defend him with this 2 minute footage. And it seems like based off what he's complaining about, I don't know how true this is. I'm trying to make my points based off this video. It seems like maybe what he's upset about is while he's the provider role, he expects some type of woman wifey role from her that she's supposed to fill. And I'm assuming it's around the traditional gender roles, which is he brings home the bacon, she nurtures and take cares of the home. And by him continuously saying, are you going to put on gloves? Are you going to this and that? It seems like his gripe is she's not fulfilling her woman roles while he's fulfilling his manly roles or however you want to. I don't know if that's true. It just seems like that's the problem. In his eyes, she's not fulfilling her roles, and she didn't really speak much. But maybe that's if I'm assuming other previous fights or future fights, he's not fulfilling her in his role, and
I'm not
that's.
saying we should. I'm not saying well, I'm not saying we should jump on him or like even
Oh,
like
yeah, I'm not saying you're saying that, but yeah, go on.
tear him. I know that, but I mean, I'm not saying we should tear him down because of it or like we should even like, to be honest with you, get too deep into it. Not us personally, but like as a media or whatever it is. I get the coverage because he's a popular guy, but I will say like his only opinion is that it's just not far fetched for him. It's just not like it's not far fetched, which speaks to like
Yeah, we definitely see his plan of attack like in a personal setting as opposed to being in front of everybody as a showman. And so I feel like in this setting though, it's extremely cringe to watch though, man. Like I also don't understand the whole discipline and respect argument. After a while, it's just like, what does he want for discipline and respect? Like he wants her to cook him a white cake or something like that, or you know what I mean? Just start fucking doing like these like at home like Martha Stewart stuff so that he can finally get discipline and respect and give it out. I don't know. I mean, we do have to see when she goes on the offense and see what it's like, but for now, like, it's extremely grimy to watch him just go on the offense for it. I am wondering though, what is the fallout from this as far as like his own show? Like I know Twitter's obviously like, yeah, hang him, but like, what about like his own, corner?
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't watched Crowder in I don't know like 2 years maybe more because he's too much of an intense personality. Like he's one super intense, and while he's being super intense, he's trying to be jovial, like joking about it, like comedic. And it's for me with him, it was just hard to accept
Real
both of them.
comedy. It's not real comedy because he himself doesn't even believe what he's saying. It's funny. It's fake laugh. It's like forced. Like because you're laughing and smiling doesn't make what you're saying funny
So I'm
or a
not sure
joke.
how this. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is affecting his. I don't know if you call it fan base or his community. I watched Tim Pool a lot, and I know when it happened, the entire chat was like berating Tim Pool. Address this. Address this. Because, like I said, this like it's a Tim Pool.
No. I'm just surprised. I would think that they would kind of like just wait for more information. His specific fan base,
Well, Tim's fan base is kind of like
not Tim's, Crowder's.
why they would want him to dress or wouldn't want him to address it.
No, I feel like Crowder's fan base would still support him and just wait for more information to come out.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Like I think his fan base is pretty loyal. I think because it's hard to have any opinion about who's right or wrong based off this. Like Crowder, what he said was definitely hurtful and wrong, but I'm reluctant to call it abusive. I can see how he could argue abusive. It's just like I need to see more. Like this is literally one argument, and they've apparently been in divorce proceedings since 2001 to now. Like there have definitely been some things building up to this. Like I think this fight that we
21.
saw, this was even like this was about something else. Like I don't even know where this came from. Like if this is about her having the car, it's like this is a really weird fight. Like what's going on? Like there's more to this that we're not addressing. And if anything, the reason why I'm reluctant to talk was reason why I was reluctant to talk about this is because this is a very easy, obvious um angle of attack against Crowder, and it's just like I guess let me address this. Here's what I mean. This was obviously this was revealed by I forgot who the journalist's name was, but Candace Owens was the one who first revealed this because Candace Owens and Crowder have beef, and I just thought this was
Aren't they on
distasteful
the
of
same
Candace.
side of the street?
People say that, but yeah, they're on the same side, meaning politically, like they're both right leaning, but they don't like each other because apparently some things that happened behind the scenes that she's mentioned but didn't go full into. And then with the whole Daily Wire drama of Crowder like calling them out of having this I don't know if the word was corrupt, but predatorial contracts. So Crowder like tried to go against Daily Wire. Then Candace Owens, who works for Daily Wire, defended Daily Wire. And then they had a back and forth, made it blah blah blah. And then now this happens, and Candace Owens is jumping on to like go at Crowder, and it's just like this is just you're for Candace Owens, you're a political commentator. Your show is about politics, and now you're taking time to talk about Crowder's relationship and divorce. It just seems weird. Like it's too vindictive in my opinion for her to even do this. It's like why? Like what are we if you're in the realm of politics, stay in the realm of politics. At this point, the Candace Owens and the like are becoming what Bravo TV, ETV. It's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, for
I
sure.
personally don't like. I don't like this.
It's not more so that they're like political commentators anymore. They're content creators, and so it's just content, dude.
Yeah, I agree with what Ethan just said. That's like me saying my wife is wrong for being away all the time when I knew we would be apart because of her military career. That video was put out to gain sympathy before the divorce proceedings. I 100% agree with that. I think this was strategically released because obviously this was released by the wife, her lawyers. Like both of them have access to this. It obviously wasn't released by Crowder. So the obvious answer is her. Now the question is now why was it released? I think Ethan is spot on. She's trying to gain sympathy. I'm hard in this. Like I don't think anything said in this video was abusive. Was it hurtful? 100%. Abusive, I have to see more to fully jump on the abusive bandwagon. But I don't think it's abusive.
I think for
Agree.
abusive,
Oh,
it's the
go for it.
it might be the frequency of this. Like, yeah, it maybe like it's not extremely like part like your mother never loved you like type shit or anything like that, but it is possible to have an immense amount of frequency of this situation happening over and over and over again towards death by a thousand cuts. Like her being like, "I love you, I need to deal with this," and he's like, "I don't fucking love you." Like that right there, is immediately like, fuck. Like, you imagine hearing that like once a week for the past 2 years.
It weighs on you.
Exactly, and so I think at that point, then it's like, oh, that's kind of abusive. And I actually think that one was where I was just like, why would you even say that? Like, even if you do think that she's like, oh, being disingenuous, you like to say I don't love you to
Didn't need to
your
be said.
wife. Yeah, it doesn't need to be said just to kind of put your foot down. Because how do you recover from that? Like, how do you say that and then tomorrow be like, hey, baby, I love you? Like when she does something good, or something like that, or something that actually makes you feel that way. But the day before, you just said that, like, that's gonna be on her mind the entire time. Like, she's gonna hold that. And so
So
I think stuff like that is where you start rooting the abuse.
keep in mind, just in this situation, I know it's just a 2 minute thing. We can't judge the whole relationship off of it, but she was trying to leave. Like, she wasn't trying to carry the conversation on. You know what I'm saying? So she didn't force him to say anything.
That's fair.
So like, even though it's released for sympathy, da 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 da, it exists. It exists for a reason. Amber Heard tried to do the same thing, but it didn't work. Why? Because it wasn't real. Like, the stuff that was said could have been seen as argumentative or abusive, but in the court of law, it wasn't over the line. This may not be seen as over the line. Something else may be seen as over the line. And honestly speaking, if this is I'm not saying this isn't abuse, but if this is the worst of it that they have recorded, I don't think the case is gonna be that strong.
Yeah, to John, what just said, to go with what Ethan said. He said, ask yourselves this question. With all of the hours of video that the camera has captured, why is this the only 2 minutes that has come out?
Oh wow, nice, Ethan.
That's a very valid point. We don't know if they have worse or not. Crowder did come out with a comment after this happened and basically said that they apparently had to deal with the divorce proceedings going on, that they were not going to like reveal certain things. And then by this leak, he said, "All right, they started this, so I'm okay. I'm gonna release everything." So he said he's going to release everything. I don't know if that means like videos. I don't know if that means court documents and what she's alleging. Because I don't know who started the divorce. I haven't dived deep in this to figure out who first filed.
But
If that,
what's the goal of that though? I would say the goal of that has to be to save his public image, but not necessarily to
I
stop
agree.
the divorce.
That's
Because if
what
she
I was
wants to
gonna ask.
leave, like, I mean, I wouldn't blame
Don't
any
play the
woman
game.
for dealing with this shit to want to leave. Like,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
challenge that, but finish your thought.
well, because I'm saying like, if a woman doesn't want to be in this and like she starts a divorce proceeding, then yeah, like, I mean, that's just what's gonna happen. But I mean, to actually save your public image, that's a little different than just to be like, yeah, this was one fight, and it wasn't the entirety of the situation. So I can still keep my job, or I can still at least like keep my backers and stuff like that. Then that's different, which I expect is what's going to be the case.
But let me ask you all a question, then. I think this is where this conversation gets interesting. Do you think this is I don't know the word, justifiable, reasonable reason to get divorced?
What?
Based off what he like, I understand that this is hard to answer because we haven't seen enough, but I guess based off
Correct.
this 2 minute clips that we've witnessed, do you think that this interaction here justifies divorce? Like, would you want divorce? I guess depending on
Off
which
for
side
two
you're on.
minutes, no. I do actually think though that like whole like I don't love you. I think that holds weight though, and so I kind of could see it, but like it's still like a Hail Mary. If it's
Yeah, off to
frequent enough, then yeah, I totally could see that. Like, dude, suffering a man like that who's just constantly fucking gaslighting you for years on end, like even if it's not as bad as like I said, like they fucking belittle like your family and stuff like that and destroy wherever you came from and make you feel like nobody. even if it's just like little cuts here and there, like yeah, fuck it, leave. Why would you want to bother with it?
Yeah, for 3 minutes, no. But like, is this the worst video? Or is not even is the worst video? Has worst have forget court, forget thinking about it like court wise. Like if you take it religiously or whatever, I guess you're never supposed to divorce. But just between you and her, where the truth is known between you two, is this as bad as it gets? If the answer is yes, then no. Based on this video, no. But if the answer is like it gets a lot worse, like 20 times, 30 times worse, then I mean, yeah, like
Yeah, I'm same there because I haven't seen enough to really answer it. But based off this, I don't think this justifies divorce. I had this conversation before. I just think specifically in our generation, millennials, we're just so quick to divorce. And
but also if she doesn't want to be with him, then yes, that's enough reason to divorce.
I personally don't think it is. That's my personal opinion. Because
So-
it diminishes marriage, and I just think I don't know.
But
I just think
what's the alternative to that?
to what?
Like if
Just
somebody
stay
wants to
together.
get into a divorce, what's the alternative to that? The other person just starts running away, and then you try to deliver subpoenas and court papers to them, and they won't accept them. And
Well, I
then,
think it depends on the individuals. Like if I had a conversation about, I actually had a conversation with you recently, Doc. Remember the conversation about love, and I think love is a choice. It's not really much of an emotion.
Mhm.
Not saying that emotions don't go into love. But I think it's more of a choice. And to address Crowder's recent "I don't love you," I think that was more of him trying to be mean. Because like I said, I don't see why he said that. Because I don't see why you would tell your wife, "I don't love you." I Crowder, as we've all seen in his videos, he likes to think himself extremely logical. No, not a lot of emotion into it. It's just like there's no emotion in this. It's just logical analysis of data and me giving you the data. And you can kind of see that in this interaction. He's not addressing any emotions. It's just, you said you're committed. Show me commitment by putting on some gloves and, action. I want action from you. Whereas from the wife, it's all emotion. I love you, but you can see she's stressed and blah, blah, blah. But he's not being receptive of that emotion. So I'm
got
trying to.
to
Yeah, I agree with you. I had a conversation with recently. So this to go along dating within this manosphere red side, they're talking about how women need to be submissive to their man, right? That's all they're talking about. Like women need to be submissive, women need to be feminine, women need to be this. And women, their counter argument is why can't men be submissive, but where is men's compromise to women? And they say something about something along the lines of we provide for you and we protect you. I think it goes both ways, but it's applied differently. So when we're talking about the traditional gender roles, men generally speaking are the provider protectors, and women generally speaking are their nurturers and caretakers. But I think it goes both ways, but in percentages. That's why I said generally speaking. Now, specifically, I don't want to get crazy with it. I'm going to keep it now coming back to the submissive aspect. Women submit to their men, but where they submit, it's about respect. Men submit to their wife, and it's about emotions, about love. Men, I'm gonna say it might sound terribly, but I got to be better at finding the right words for it. Men know how to show respect. We're raised to be respectful. Respect your elders. Respect him. Blah blah this. Blah blah that. Like we know how to respect individuals. Not saying women don't know how, but more so that's instilled in men early on. Whereas with women, it's about love. They're all about showing love, expressing love, and teach them how to control that love because you might give it to someone who's undeserving or whatever. So therefore, when it comes to relationships, it even addresses this in the Bible. Men have to show their women love. Women have to show their men respect. That's where the submissive plays in. As a man, I submit my love. I submit my emotions to you. You are the only woman that I have to show my emotions to you, who I have to be vulnerable to, because you have to know how I am as a man when I lose control. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into, and also what potentially how I will be around the children if I can't control myself. And that's why on women you have to be able to respect, because if you don't respect me, then I don't feel loved. That's my take on it. And in that clip of there, I don't see him respecting her. I don't see him loving her. And honestly, I don't really see her respecting him, and I don't see her really loving him. It just seems it. And this is obviously in the middle of them fighting, so it's hard to show that.
I
And
kind of disagree with your assessment that she isn't respecting him. I think the fact that she tailors all of her phrases with "I love you" is her
I think that's
respecting him.
manipulation. Because I think, like John said earlier, why do you have to say that? It may be she's probably trying to lay the groundwork because she can get out of there or diffuse the situation. Sure,
When you get to see now, when you get to manipulation, it's different because at what point is it not manipulation? Like if you take it to like a micro level, she wants things to be peaceful in her household, just not her, anybody. Let's say a woman wants things to be peaceful in her household, not peaceful as in, oh, the guy's going to come back and be angry and da da da, but peaceful as in she wants things to just flow smoothly. So there are things that he likes. If she does those things that he likes, she knows he'll come back and he'll be happy, he'll be excited, he'll be thankful. Because she wants him to be thankful, one could be consider her doing those things as manipulation or manipulating him into being happy. So when the end result is something we like, we don't call it manipulation. But when the end result is something we don't like, then it's called manipulation. So I can't say when you have that bond with somebody, I just wouldn't say that she was doing it for manipulation. That's why I just say it's too little of a time period for us to really judge either of the parties.
that's
All
fair.
I'm saying is that his makes more sense because we have a lot more footage of him acting and gaslighting people than we know of her. So I could only imagine what living with a nigga like that was like. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy, it has to be whatever. But also, I don't know who she is. She could be just as wicked. Like why he pick her? Like why a guy like him pick her? She probably, you know what I'm saying, got the same juice, got the same sauce. So
All right, we talked about this too long. Any last comments or takes, Doc?
Yeah, I guess there isn't enough to go on. I do wonder, only time will tell if he loses his backers for the situation. It definitely looks, grimy from the entirety of it. But as John pointed out, I genuinely think the angle is more against him just because of not only his shows that we've seen, like his visible content that he has out being this way, as well as other testimonies and now a private video. And so, it's kind of just like stacking against him. Like, I mean, she might be the ultimate genius to just be like, oh, I just literally need to drop the cherry on top and here's the video and I can get out or do whatever I need to do. But again, I don't understand like the end goal. Like, if you want to get divorced, get divorced. Like, just go your separate ways. Um, but if you're trying to destroy the man, then that's a different situation.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let me read Ethan's comments because he has a
Gene,
few. And yeah,
I'm sorry, but to your point about the respect, the submissiveness between man and woman, and respect and the emotion. I think my personal opinion on that would be that not women. I guess you could use the word submissive because it says submissive, but that's just the term that they were probably using back then. I think that it'd be more like you said, respectful of a man's logic. So, like you said, we're more not emotional beings than women, but it's our job to love the woman that we're with. So we have to have some type of an emotional intelligence in order to be able to appropriately or properly love the woman we're with. So it creates the balance, which is you have to respect the logic of a man understanding that he's not an emotional being.
and
So
you
I
got to
think the
respect her
submissiveness
feelings that
is
she
just
feels a certain way.
exactly, but I think it's a mutual respect, like you said. But yeah, pretty much agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my last point is it just seems like two people who had two different views of what marriage is supposed to be like, and they're clashing trying to figure it out, and they decided we don't want to figure it out anymore. And I think that's incredibly sad. I think that's incredibly
So they
sad.
probably weren't rich when they started dating, so probably things changed when
Money,
income
man,
changed.
money. All right, let me read Ethan's comments. I read that one. Okay. It's performative. She picks something that is going to get under his skin, plays the victim, and just happens to wear a shirt that accentuates her baby belly. I mean, she's at the comfort of her home. Like, I don't know what it's like to have a belly like that, but I mean, if you could wear a shirt that can, kind of like give some free around the belly area, why not? You're at home. Like, I don't know about that one. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know, but I disagree a bit with that one. They are getting divorced, and my thoughts are that she is trying to maximize her financial compensation. That's
Correct.
probably yeah. Um, sorry, had to dig out the old keyboard because I just broke the one I was using. Laugh out loud, just kidding. But but you do have me yelling at the screen again. Hey, good old Ethan. Bring it on. All right. Actually, I'm curious to hear your perspective, Ethan, because you are, out of all of us, you're married. You've been married for, I forgot what you said, like 30 plus years or something like that. I apologize, don't remember how long you said you've been married, but give us a little insight, like, I guess, how you see this as a married, well, your wife's not here to give her take, but as a married couple, as a married man who's probably been through the roller coaster of emotions and things like that, like, I guess, what's your take? And while you're chatting that up, we'll probably read it at the end. Let's move on to the next topic, Ian, which is Alec Baldwin got his charges dropped. Yeah, look at John's face. Exactly. This is wild. Ethan shared this in the topic suggestion. I was like, yes, we're addressing this. All right, let me read this and let's talk about it. So, let me oh, we got someone else. Miss Chrissy 03, submission in a marriage is to give yourself completely to one another, not to lose yourself as a person. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Correct.
Big facts. All right. Charges dropped against Alec Baldwin in fatal on-set rust shooting. I can't believe he got his charges dropped. I might read this in its entirety because this is wild.
That picture looks like he doesn't believe it either. Like he's just like, damn.
Charges against Alec Baldwin have dropped in the fatal on-set rush shooting. According to sources familiar with the matter, newly appointed special prosecutors in the case confirmed charges have been dropped against the actor, though noted their investigation remains active and ongoing. Or for what at this point? Baldwin, 65, had been charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter after fatally shooting cinematographer Helena Hutchins, 42, on the New Mexico set of the Western in October of 2021. The actor was practicing a cross draw when the gun fired, striking the cinematographer and director Joel Souza, who suffered a non-life-threatening injury. Quote, we are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin, and we encourage a proper investigation into the facts and circumstances of this tragic accident. Luke Nikas and Alex Sapero, the attorneys for Baldwin, said in statement. The Santa Fe District Attorney's Office declined to comment. Baldwin's next court appearance in the case had been set for May 3rd. Baldwin already waived his rights to appear at the preliminary hearings. He had pleaded not guilty to the charges in a court. The film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was also charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter over Hutchins' death. Gun enhancement charges filed in the case against both Baldwin and Gutierrez were dropped in late February. Gutierrez's attorneys confirmed Thursday that her current charges are unchanged, saying in a statement that they, quote, fully expect at the end of this process that Hannah will also be exonerated. Quote, the truth about what happened will come out and the questions that we have long sought answers for will be answered, her attorneys Jason Bowles and Todd Bullion said in the statement. I'll read probably a couple more paragraphs and then we'll get to discussion. Gutierrez's attorneys have said she intends to plead not guilty and has said she has no idea how live rounds ended up in the gun. David Hall, the first assistant director for the film, was sentenced last month to 6 months unsupervised probation as part of a plea deal. Halls, who handed the Colt .45 revolver to Baldwin prior to the shooting, was charged with negligent use of a deadly weapon. What? One more. His hearing came down after Santa Fe District Attorney Mary Carmack Outwise announced she was stepping away from prosecuting the case. The move followed State Rep Andrea Reeb also stepping down as special prosecutor in the case. In their place, the district attorney appointed Carrie Morrissey and Jason Lewis to serve as special prosecutors. I don't know, man. This sounds fishy. this sounds fishy. Let's get into it. Unless you guys want me to read more. So, uh, this sounds like celebrity privilege to me. I don't know what else to call this except celebrity privilege. I really don't know what else to call it besides celebrity privilege. If anything, I guess you could make the argument, and this sounds like a weak argument to me, is because it wasn't his, and he made this argument. Remember, we watched that ABC interview where he was like, "It's not my responsibility. Like, I'm not the one handling it. It's the armorer's job." I guess that's eventually what won out because he is not responsible for that. He can't be charged for what he's being charged for. It stops at him, and you got to backtrack it to the armor, which I guess the armor also know based off my checks like it was fine. So I guess that's why this person Hall is getting charged because he's the one who handed the gun. So maybe he might have put the bullet in there between going from armor to Baldwin. Maybe. I'm
That's the
completely
only thing I can think of because
exactly.
when they revealed that the armor had her charges dropped, I was like, "Whoa!" That's the only other person I think that I guess evidence or even blame could have gone towards. Like he obviously pulled the trigger, but like whether or not he knew or anything like that, that's up in the air. So I guess it seems when they got everybody's testimonies in that the only guy who came up awkward was the person, the middleman, really, between Baldwin and the armorer. So they're really making it seem like it's his fault. Like all of the fact that he's even gotten repercussions. Nobody else really had repercussions except for like having to show up to court and stuff like that. But he's actually had like 6 months, and then they're still doing investigations. I mean, they say at the end of it that he still has culpability, so he could still have the charges refiled against him. But it seems to me like they're gonna blame everything on the assistant director.
I God forgive me, but I hope he did it because if he didn't do it, his life is destroyed now. All the
Assistant
blame
director?
is yeah. Like if he didn't put the round in the gun and they're just putting blame on him, this poor man. Like I like he better have done it because if he didn't do it, man, that's wild. That like I said, celebrity privilege. Like that's wild.
You need to find out who killed Bruce Lee's son there too.
Yeah, like who got the gun there?
Right?
Got that gun.
That is wild, man. I can't believe he's just. Honestly, I'm not that surprised to tell you the truth, because I felt like the argument was
Is it?
because of the chain of like jobs and occupancies it is until the gun finally reaches his hand. I wasn't really too surprised that this would be the outcome, but the one that I am again surprised of is the armor, like her getting off instead of following the chain of occupancy to
Chain of
make sure
command.
everything is. Yeah.
So what was the logic behind us being angry the first time? Because I remember us getting on his ass the first time.
Well,
What was the logic behind it?
Gene was of the perspective that he should have the
He's supposed to do a check or something.
yeah, he should have the competency to check the gun himself before he even fires it. And that's the argument that a lot of people had, that a lot of actors, even if they aren't armorers themselves, have the training to check a weapon before using
Will
it
Smith,
as a prop.
George Clooney, they all came out and said we're trained to.
Yeah.
So he's supposed
Check.
to check before. Okay, so now
Yeah.
back on his ass then. Yeah, so no, it's involved. He should be charged.
And involuntary, it makes sense. Like you may not have like decided like to burn like it's involuntary. Like it is what it is. Unfortunately, like that was my biggest gripe is the lack of. I don't know if it's accountability. I don't know if it's sympathy. It's right when it happened, he immediately was like, "Not my fault. Not my fault." It's like, bro, like you shot somebody and they died. Like your first reaction shouldn't be not my fault. It should be like, fuck. Like it should weigh on you. And I just personally didn't see that. It didn't see that. I could be wrong. I don't see him behind the scenes, but the amount of screen time he allowed himself to have, I did not see the weight on his body. I didn't see it in his eyes. It just seemed like it wasn't my fault. Not a big deal. Not my fault.
See, I do agree with his demeanor not being like, equal to the situation, and I thought it was very awkward too, and very much egotistical, as well as neglecting. of like not neglecting, insensitive or inconsiderate to the situation.
Yeah.
But I don't agree that like everybody should be trained on like firearm safety and stuff like that just to be an actor. Like, I mean, he also is of the mindset that he's against guns and stuff like that. So it doesn't make too much sense for somebody who's against them
Be that careless.
to not take training. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to go out of his way to be involved with firearms, even though he has to use them for his job. Although the obvious logic is like when you're scared of something, like you should face it and you should get some training. That way, you're no longer scared of it. But to me, like for somebody who doesn't want to take that voluntary decision to learn about them, like especially when they're completely against them, I don't think you should force them to. And that's why I think that like not every actor needs to have gun training when they do that. There's literally people whose jobs it is to do stuff like that. So I mean, if you want to be responsible, yeah, take the initiative. But like, you have so many people to rely on, man. Like, at that point, let me just do your job. Let me do everything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to remember the script. I'm supposed to be the lead actor. I'm supposed to do all this other stuff. And I know plays into ego and diva mentality and stuff like that. But you also want me to go prep the gun myself. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go pick out my own outfit and I'm gonna pick the leathers and shit like that. Like, nah. At some point, like people just put it on you. You
I
got
thought
one
that was
goal, one mindset, and you go.
but I thought the actor themselves checking it was part of the safety system.
No, it's
That was
not.
my assumption.
Those guys they had the know-how, they had the initiative, and they wanted to be conscientious about what they were doing, so they said that, and that's why when they made their opinion about it, that like I would always check it, so he should have checked it. That's all it was. There's no rule in the industry that says a paid actor also has to be trained on the firearms on set and stuff like that while they're filming.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
I don't know. Like I said, it just seems like celebrity privilege. Like this might be a very bad comparison. Yeah, actually, it 100% is a bad comparison. So I'll say it, and then maybe you guys can help me find a better example.
Okay,
But
well,
like,
shoot.
what'd you say?
I said shoot. Oh, that might be the wrong word for this.
But like, so for example, with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, like that was so blatantly obvious self-defense. But because well, in my opinion, it was blatantly obvious self-defense, and in the court, ruled it was self-defense. But people saw it and was like, no, he murdered those people. He this and that, like, and they ran him through the mud about whether or not that was self-defense or not. And he even had to go through the court proceedings of proving self-defense. And with Alec Baldwin, it's just like he had the proper system in place, the armor, blah blah blah. Like he's not culpable, so charges dropped. It's just like I said, like I started this off. It just seems celebrity privilege, reeking of celebrity privilege. Like if this was any other person, let's say this wasn't Alec Baldwin. Let's say this was a B-list movie or whatever the tier. I don't know what the low tier of movies are, but let's say it's one of the lower, like nobody named movies trying to do their own western, and this situation happened. Do you think they would have gotten off charges dropped?
Gotten off Juicy Smoulier.
What do you mean? I'm doing what you mean.
They would have gotten off Juicy Smoulier. Didn't Juicy Smoulier get off?
No, Juicy didn't. He didn't get off.
Didn't he go to
Did he get
jail?
off?
No,
Yeah,
Did he go to
yeah,
jail?
yeah, he went to jail because remember they're dragging him out, and he was like,
Yeah.
"I'm not suicidal."
Yeah, we reacted to
I'm
it. Yeah.
And they released him the next day or something.
Then he got. I don't know if he released on
Oh,
bond, but
yeah,
they did.
you're right.
They did
Yeah,
convict
you're
him or
right.
whatever, but then they
And
reduced
then
his
they
sentence
got
because
released
of.
to like house arrest or some shit like that. So
Yeah.
a B-list celebrity would get off.
Is
He
Justice
wouldn't
Smollett
need that.
B-list? Because Empire's a pretty
No,
big show. I don't know. I'm
Juicy
assuming.
Smoulier.
I don't know.
Juicy
I
was like like if we talking all over Hollywood, I would say like C-list. But I don't know what that is. This is just me just talking, just because we're talking about it. Like, what the hell do I know?
I would agree with C just because I've never watched Empire, and that's the only thing I know he's attached to.
That's fair. Me too. Like I generally
Yeah.
You
don't
know,
know his
Empire is a popular show. You know he's
Yeah.
on it.
That's
How many,
all I know. Yeah.
you don't watch the show.
And throughout the entire
So,
proceeding, it was like the dude who comes out on Empire. That's the only thing I was thinking about. So
Yeah.
I'm like comparing him to like I don't know Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt to me is like an A-list actor where he's in everything.
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know.
Brad Pitt gets off. You just
Me
want to
too.
name people and see who gets off on this one.
All of them would get off.
Right?
Even non-big name A-lists like Amber Heard, she got off for a while. Johnny Depp had to go through hoops just to prove that I was abused also.
I ain't gonna lie. Amber Heard might have used up a lot of her sauce, so like she can't catch a body right
Yeah. Yeah.
now. Amber Heard can't beat nobody right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is like a new drinking game. You name an actor or celebrity personality and see if they could get off with a crime.
All of them. I bet you
I
they
think
all have a crime under their belts that we have no idea about.
I think I think if there's 3 people in a room, 2 of them die, and Denzel Washington comes out, I think he beats that.
Yeah. You just be like, dude, they got equalized, man. They had it coming.
They
I
got
think I think somehow
equalized.
Denzel beats that. I think Denzel could figure out. So I think Denzel beats that. Yeah.
Dude, people
I do.
love Denzel. Now, as for Alec Baldwin, there is no excuse for his charges being dropped. There is no excuse for not clearing and safing a firearm, even on a movie set. Actors are given safety briefings and are taught the basic safety rules. This, to me, is a simple case of elite privilege. 100% agree. Look up 10-year-old charged for accidental shooting. I don't have to look it up. Just
One.
yeah, exactly. Which one? You have to look it up. Just when that happens, the kids get charged, don't they? So how are the kids getting charged, but not Alec Baldwin in this case? In some cases they are. In some cases they're not.
I
It depends.
genuinely think that like the big kicker is that there are people whose jobs it is to influence the weapon before it gets to your hands. Like there's no outside of the parents, like there's nobody influencing the weapon when it gets to a 10-year-old's hand. But like for this, there are very grown adults that have staged systems to get to the weapon to the person. So I think with those systems in place, when the accident happened, it throws everything into a spin, and you have to assess it differently.
Man, I think it's artificial. Maybe the artificial not the right word, but artificial loopholes to waive culpability, and I think that's dangerous. Like I don't know, like I said, that my only issue with this is I do not see, and I don't see the background. So maybe I'm wrong. God, please forgive me if I am 100% wrong about this, because I don't know if it is weighing on him or not. But I just don't see it. Like and we're different. If I accidentally killed somebody, bro, I don't want to. I'm disappearing. Like I am now deep in my mind, like trying to like work on myself because I'm now mentally fucked. Like, I just accidentally took someone's life for me being negligent. Like screw the armor and the assistant director. Like I would have been telling myself I should have checked. I should have felt the weight. Like all these thoughts would be going through my head of what I could have done to prevent this. I don't see that with him, and that's why this bothers me. Is that I just don't see the weight of the situation on his body, in his face, in his words, in his tone. I don't see it. I don't hear it, and that's what bothers me.
I think Oprah could catch like 4 bodies. I think
How do
Oprah
you?
could get away like 4 easy.
Yeah,
Easy.
she's giving away enough shit, and people would be like, we're good.
Yeah. No, that is not an excuse. I had armorers that handled my firearm before issuing it to me, but if they didn't do their job and I accidentally shot someone, then it was on me, not the armorer. I mean,
Is that
I think that makes sense, but I mean, what do I know?
I mean, he did kill them on accident. I mean, kill her on accident. So involuntary manslaughter makes sense.
It does. That's why it's wild that they're just completely dropped. Like I just don't understand this. Like
But it
I'm
wasn't on accident. Is what they're saying? It
okay,
was on
so
accident. Just
let's
it was
that's
on
why I
accident.
think though, like the armorer has the most responsibility of this entire situation, but for them to be dropped on the armorer, I generally think is like an anomaly. Whereas it's really really strange that they would do that. Well, then because it's like who else is to blame? And I
apparently
mean,
from this article, it's that
yeah,
what's
you
his
definitely have the assistant director, but it's like like what is the armor story that makes her not have the culpability like at all? Like
They ain't do it.
yeah,
Let's
like
let's explore that avenue then, because we've had a discussion, but we haven't explored that avenue, which is it seems like that's kind of what they're alluding to, which is maybe David Hall might have intercepted the gun from the armorer to Alec Baldwin, and they might have put the bullets in there.
yeah.
If that is the case, and that proves to be true, is Alec Baldwin and, let's be honest, the armorer, let's be fair, are they now free of any responsibility, or like whatever we want to say that they should feel or whatever?
You're saying no, regardless, because he should have checked it.
I am personally, yes.
That doesn't change anything.
For me, it doesn't change anything. Yeah, I mean, it does take away some of the attack that I have on him, because like, okay, like you were literally set up, but still, bro, like if you just checked it, this could have all been avoided. I see you thinking, Doc.
He
What do you
checks it. Does he even know the difference between a blank and a?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I'm also thinking like it's too many like not what ifs, because I generally do agree with the third like party being the most one at fault. But there's just too many micro decisions. Like if you'd have checked all this stuff, if you'd have worked on all this stuff, like I mean, I don't know. For me, if I'm being honest, I probably like if I'm thinking in my situation, I probably would have shot the woman if I genuinely got the situation where somebody handed me a gun, because in my mindset, like maybe I'm like one tracked and I'm like I'm only focused on my lines, I'm only focusing on my whatever I need to do and stuff like that, and then somebody just had me a gun, and I know that there's other people who are paid to think about these other problems for me, while I only have this one problem to think about. I'm just gonna do what I need to do, and I'm gonna point the gun and pull the trigger, and recite my line when I do it. But because of that, like to be like, oh, I also have to check the gun. Oh, okay, like let me see, where's the camera at? Am I also supposed to be doing all this? Like there's so many like, well, he should have done this, he should have done that, he should have done that, and I think that's where it starts to get too messy.
I don't know, man. I'm not letting up on the fact that he held some responsibility. Should have checked that gun. Like I understand that he's like the main actor. Like, you got a lot of responsibilities when it comes to line memorizations, placements, and angles and all that kind of stuff. But like, I'm sorry, you're like we've said before. He's a big advocate of anti-gun. He's a big anti-gun advocate. And for you not to feel the weight of responsibility when that gun is in your hands, I'm sorry. No excuses, bro. No excuses,
I disagree, man.
bro.
Like there's just too many parties at play that I feel like
It doesn't matter. It's a gun, bro. Like if you're as outspoken as you are, then you should be aware of the responsibility that comes into play when that gun's in your hand. And if you to be that negligent, shut up. I don't ever want to hear him talk about guns ever again. If he ever comes out being an advocate for anti-guns, I'm sorry, shut the fuck up. You have no room to speak.
oh, I feel like he's definitely gonna do it.
Of course he is.
I feel
It's
like
gonna
now he has
piss
even
me
more
off.
of a pedestal. He can just be somebody who
Seems
accidentally
to have
killed
already
somebody.
pissed you off, Gene.
Yeah.
It'll piss me off even more.
You can say like as somebody who accidentally killed somebody,
I'm over
this is what
9,000 in
guns
rage.
do or whatever, and then he's just gonna fucking keep using it as a stepping stone. But I do agree that like his demeanor doesn't match the situation. I just don't agree again that the chain of command is literally built out to avoid problems like this. And yeah, I mean, fuck, can't remember his name. I'm bad with names, by the way.
Alec
don't
or
take it
the
as an
assistant
insult.
director?
No,
Ethan.
Ethan. There you go. Yeah, I'm bad with names, Ethan. Don't take it as an insult. It's just that, like Ethan said, he had an armorer. I don't know what the situation was. Like, I don't know if he was an actor or something like that in the past. And,
Military. He probably had to turn in guns. Guns received to him, and
well, I feel like that's very different though, because that's literally your job, like to use weapons and stuff like that in a live situation. So everybody from the ground up is trained in weaponry, I think, at that point. But as an actor, like, I don't know, man. Like, you're trained to be on theater. You're trained to be
that's
for
valid.
other situations. Like, you could take it to the level of, like, say, John Wick, where you have Keanu being able to do like an entire gun range and stuff like that. But he also, I think, likes that thing, so he probably.
Do you think Keanu Reeves checks his John Wick now in John Wick movie?
I
Do you
definitely
think
think he
Keanu Reeves
does.
checks his gun with every single gun he handles? Do you think he checks every gun?
I think he does, because
I
I think he
so
likes it.
too, because he's a responsible individual.
I actually think it's more so because he actually enjoys a gun habit.
That's
Not
fair. You know
necessarily
what? That's
because
I agree.
Yeah. Whereas Alec Baldwin, I don't think has that, and so for him, it's just like I'm gonna do this as fast as I can and get it away from me.
And that's why my brother, and he's so outspoken about guns, and it's like, but you didn't treat it with the respect that it's due. That's why, like, I don't even want to hear him again, bro. Shut up and disappear.
Damn.
He might, man. Maybe he's gonna go soak for a while and be
It's
like, I
Alec.
got away with this, and be like, let me just sit on it. But
Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin.
eh.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's read some
You need to
comments.
get a
Let's close.
you need to get a teardrop tattoo.
Yeah.
Damn, John, you're savage.
Have you seen the memes where it's like John Travolta? You remember in Pulp Fiction when he's like talking to the person and he's got the gun and he's like leaning over the back of the seat after he like accidentally shoots the guy, but they took off John Travolta's head and they put on Alec Baldwin. He's like hanging over the seat.
Dude, that's savage. People are savage. No, I read that one. This is why there are safety rules and briefings, because you just cannot rely on someone else doing their job. The ultimate responsibility is on the user. I agree with that. Blanks and live rounds are different enough that if you do your job and clear and save the weapon, you will know what you have in actual live round. I've never dealt with the blanks. I personally have no idea, so maybe
Makes sense though.
it does, but I've never dealt with one, so I really don't know. All right, that's it. Before we close out, I asked Ethan for his input on the Crowder thing, because since he has, experience being married, he gave us a little comment. Let me read it real quick, and let's talk about that real quick. So the long and short of the Crowder thing is this: both of them knew who they were marrying. So I don't buy into the whole victim narrative that is being put out for her. Again, if that were the case, the video that would have been released would have been much worse. That's kind of valid. When you are arguing with your spouse and get to the point that you don't want to deal with it anymore, you get cold towards them. I've seen that. That is what I see. But because he's a because his performative personality is that of an asshole, everyone wants to believe that his home personality is the same way. She is an adult, and this is 2023, not 1823. She could have bought a car. She could have left his ass at any point if things were that bad, but she didn't. I could be wrong, but I think that this is all about the money. Gain the sympathy, play this video in court, and get a judgment from the court that this is going to ensure that she never has to work again. Basically, he thinks it's nothing but a money move. Honestly, I think Ethan might be right. Just the way courts go, if you look at the data, most courts are because of money issues. Like it's the most logical, rational answer, and it might not be too far off.
The car question might be key, because even John pointed out too, where it's just like, why don't you have multiple cars? Why is this?
I don't understand that. Not having multiple cars makes no sense.
So would this be evidence to potential abuse if she had no avenue to buy her own car, if he controlled all the finances, to John's point earlier about being in a cage? Would that then be evidence to some level of abuse?
I mean, sure. I mean, she can just file for divorce if she just fucking didn't like a remark that morning. But I think, to Ethan's point, building the case would be, if it's aimed at money, then yeah, building the case is what needs to be done. But like, if she just wants to leave, then she can just leave.
Yeah, I don't want to rehash this conversation. So my only thing is, I just like if that is the worst of it, I don't think divorce was the answer. I just think she maybe, like I said, I don't know who followed it. Whoever followed it, they were just looking for an excuse to leave at that point, and it's unfortunate that this was the reason. Like I think they could have worked through this, because I've seen worse personally, and it's like if this is what broke y'all, like I'm not choosing my words here, so forgive me for being poor on my word choice, but y'all are weak. Like married couples who are able to overcome the roller coaster that is marriage and stay together, that's true strength. I'm sorry, that's true strength, because that's hard. Marriage is hard, and when couples are able to stay together and fight through it, I think that's incredibly admirable. And again, like I said before, when it comes to millennials, we're weak when it comes to relationships and marriage. We like the first sign of difficult, I want to cut ties and leave, and I just think that's so sad.
My boy Gene, y'all heard it first.
All right, I think that's enough fake deep thinking for today, guys. If you haven't liked the
Thank you,
video,
Ethan.
yeah, thanks for your input, Ethan. That was super fun. Thanks for the insight. And buy another keyboard. Stop breaking your keyboards. We're not that bad. Make sure you like the video if you haven't liked it already. Make sure you leave a comment, tell us how much you hate us or love us. Share the video. Let's get more people in here yelling at us. We'll see you guys next time on Fake Deep Thinking. Peace.
Yo, thanks for making it to the end. We really appreciate it and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all Fake Deep Thinking. Check us out, please.
FDT. Peace, y'all.